Welcome back to another video, guys. Today we're going to be talking about mirror polishing. I've been doing it a ton lately. I've kind of got my process down to where I figured it was a good time to share with you guys how it goes. So if you ever wanted to mirror polish, well, really anything, this is definitely a video you're going to want to stick around for. Well, I've been getting a lot of people asking me about mirror finishes. I've been doing them a ton lately. Pretty much on any of the knives that I do that are Damascus, Sanmai, all of those get a full mirror polish before etch and final finish. This just really makes it to where you have a really good result and a good contrast. So the knives I'm actually working on today are stainless Damascus from Damasteel. And let me see if I can kind of get you. This one is mirrored on one side, and I do one side at a time. And then I have this side where I have it hand sanded to where it's ready to start polishing. I guess I wanted to go over the steps I took to get it to this point, and then kind of some of the equipment that helps for this process, and hopefully just answer any of the questions that you guys have had on mirror finishes. So the first whole thing with this is getting your blade finished to where you're able to start the mirror finishing process. Now, just for an example, I have this blade right here at a very rough 800 grit finish, okay? I kind of left it to where it's got some scuffs and some iffy spots in it just to show really how good this buffing system is that I'm using now. But 800 grit seems to be a really good starting point with the buffing wheels that I have. Now to get it to that point, what I do is I grind my bevels up to a 220 grit finish. And when you're doing this mirror polishing process, you really learn how belt progression works and how easy it is to maybe go from your 60 to your 120 and then to your 220, and then you realize, oh, I missed a couple of those 60 grit scratch lines. And doing this a lot, you really realize how much time you have to spend with each grit progression to get it to where you're not, on the stage of hand sanding with a 220 and you're trying to get out 80 grit scratches, because that gets really, really old. So this is kind of a good learning process. Everybody should really know how to do this, I feel like. But just for example, this is my Upland Hunter model. And again, this is in Damasteel at an 800 grit hand sanded finish. So this is 36 on the grinder to a 60 to a 120 to a 220. And then by hand, I start at 220, work to 400, and then 800. And I'll give you guys one last close up on kind of how this, there's kind of a weird smudge there, but on how this 800 grit finish looks. You can see it's not super good. I mean, it's just, see those spots on the tip, like those J-hook spots. I kind of just left those to show you guys how cool this buffing system is. So hopefully that answers that question. Let's jump over to the buffers, and I'm going to show you guys a couple things over there. So probably the most important step of this whole process is the actual buffing wheels that I use. Now, these are, I believe they call them the Airway buffing wheels from Red Label Abrasives. I currently have the super coarse over here, coarse, fine, ultra fine, or however you want to say it. It goes soft, medium, hard, extra hard. Now, when you buy these wheels from Red Label, check the website, but I believe they actually include the specific compound that correlates with the wheel. So you see we've got green compound for the green wheel, we've got pink for the pink, white for the white, and then I use this super aggressive black that goes with this orange wheel. Now, just for like a reference point and what they say, and I have tested this out quite a bit, this coarse cut pink wheel can take out 400 grit scratches. That's what it says on the website, and I have tested it quite a bit, and I found that if you pair it with this compound and you have it running on a really powerful buffer like these, it will take out 400. So that is a super, super, super helpful kind of feature of these buffing wheels because it makes it to where your hand sanding can be a lot more forgiving. Now this one at the very end is their new one, which is just super, super aggressive. And I haven't, well, I've tried it out a little bit, but that one can take 180 to 220 scratches out. And it really will when you pair it with that black compound. I mean, it's very aggressive to where if you're buffing on like a high carbon steel knife, it'll throw sparks off of it a little bit. So you really want to be careful if you do get one of these, but I have found it helpful on larger knives, like a chef knife, buffing out spots that pink one, you can really hog on it and try to get them out. But if you jump to that super coarse, and this is all if you miss kind of some spots during the hand sanding finishing process, which I do almost every time. So probably for this knife where it's at right now, again, this is just a smaller little knife. I probably won't have to use that really coarse one to get the mirrored effect on this. But these buffing wheels, again, are available at Red Label Abrasives. And I would probably, if I was you, I would start with the pink, green, and white. And then at some point, maybe get that orange one at the end if you're feeling a little frisky. Because that thing, you got to watch out when you run that thing. The other thing is I'm not sure, I have done videos on mirror finishing on the past. And I upgraded my buffers since then. Now, these are the Grizzly ones, and I believe they run at 1,725 RPM, which when I bought them, my old buffers were the higher speed, like 3,000 RPM ones, so I was a little bit concerned if these would work as good or keep up. And what I found is having it a little slower RPM, but really being able to hog into it, provides a kind of a better finish at the end of the day because it's a little more controllable and you can really put a lot more pressure on it. Now, I use those cheap Harbor Freight buffers for a long time, and if you have those, they'll work fine with this for smaller knives. But when you run a bigger knife, like I said, like a chef knife or even a full-size knife, you end up bogging these down, those Harbor Freight ones, to where you're trying to get a spot out and put more pressure and they just turn off. Now with these big Grizzly ones, I mean, you can't stop these with a truck. I mean, these things are super, super powerful. I highly, highly recommend these things. I don't remember what the cost was on these. They're not cheap, but they're also just really industrial and really, really good. So that being said, I'm going to probably bring the camera in, show you kind of my quick process on how I run through the grits, show you guys the end result. And I kind of I'm hoping that I missed a couple spots so I can show you how you can actually remove some of this aggressive scratches from hand sanding with these buffers, which is what really makes the whole difference. So, all right, let's get into it. Last thing, before you start buffing, don't wear something like this with like strings hanging off of it. And a lot of people have commented on my mirror posts that they're scared of buffers and they, you know, what I found with if you're buffing a knife on a buffer, as long as you keep pressure down, okay, so when you're buffing, you guys can probably kind of see what I'm doing. Keep your edge down and kind of pressure tilted away. So, because the problem comes when it catches that top edge on your buffer and slings it away. And that's what you want to avoid. So just pay really close attention when you're buffing that you're keeping edge pressure, or if you want to hit the top spot up here, flip the knife over, do it this way. Don't try to lean into it. And that's when that wheel will catch and fling the knife out of your hand. So that's at least what I found, and just, you know, it's not that big of a deal. Just go for it. You'll be fine. Yeah, so safety first. Don't have strings dangling down like this. And I'm going to probably show you guys how I do this, run it. You won't be able to hear me, but you'll see the process here in a second. Okay, so first step, I'm going to fire these on. I'm going to rake the wheels. They make this little, which kind of loosens up all those fibers, and I found that if you rake it every time, it just you get a better result. You get less scratches from the buffer, and it just works better. So I'm going to rake it. apply a little compound, and then I'm going to start buffing this first stage. Okay, so right there you see I did, let's see, how long was that? About 30 seconds. And then what I do after that initial pass, you could probably tell how much pressure I'm putting on it. I would say medium pressure. Let me grab a rag and I'm going to show you what this looks like really quick. So one kind of cool thing is when you do this is you'll get to where you see where you're buffing it this way, and your hand sanding lines are going to be going down the blade like this. And once you have all those out with that buffer, you know, this red still does not give you a good finish. It's super hazy, but all of the new scratch lines are going, you know, vertically instead of horizontally. So at that point, you know, you can kind of move to that next grit because you've got all your hand sand scratches out, and you're ready to rock and roll. So same process with this. I like to clean off the blade in between passes. That way you're removing any of that pink compound that shouldn't be on the green pad. I did that for a while and it was a mistake, and I'd end up kind of putting scratches in, and I was fighting it, and I realized that I'm using the wrong compound kind of on the wrong pad, if that makes any sense. So clean the blade off, move to the green, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to rake it, we're going to compound it, and kind of medium pressure, a few passes, and then we'll move on to the white. All right, last step is the white with the white compound, and this just gives you this unbelievable mirror finish. Let's see if I can show you kind of where it's at right now. It's pretty shiny, but there's just micro scratches in it that you can see from that green. That looks pretty good on camera, but still a lot of hazing and light scratches. That'd be good enough for just an etch or whatever, but we're gonna go all the way, and I'll show you how to do the same step. Rake it, compound. All right, I'm gonna take this outside so you can see what this looks like in natural light. And yeah, I'm not gonna... All right, we're outside the shop. Just when you get it out in natural light, you can really see how that mirror finish turned out. And that is pretty good. Kind of showing that plunge down the tip. There's me. All right, it's cold out. Let's go back inside. So there you can see how that mirror turned out. Again, this is Damascus, so that's what you're seeing there, that kind of cool pattern. And now it's ready to clean up and etch. But turned out pretty good. And hopefully you guys learned something watching that. So this is the other one I'm working on right now. I've got 3 of these that are matching. So this one's etched and it still needs to be. So what I do with this Damasteel is I'll mirror polish it, I'll etch it, and then I'll do a final buff on it. And it actually brings out the pattern a little better. So this is just after the final etch. But you can see why you want a mirror finish, because if you leave any of those scratches, it shows up. And yeah, it's not worth it. It's like my pet peeve when I see somebody that says, oh, here's my mirror finish knife, and it's mirror finished, but you can see like 80 grit grind lines in it. And I don't know, I hate that. So anyways, I think I covered everything I wanted to in today's video. Again, I'll put links below to these wheels, to everything I used. I don't want to hear any crap about, oh, I only have this buffer, I only have this. I used a crappy $70 buffer for years and made it work until I was able to buy these better buffers. So just get after it and try it. Again, it's a lot of preparation and it's a lot of trial and error, but I think if you watch this video and just take what I said, you should be able to pull it off pretty easily. So anyways, like always, guys, thank you for watching. If you want to help support the channel, sign up for the Patreon. It's only $5 a month, and it means a ton to me when you sign up for that. So again, YouTube doesn't really pay me anything for making these videos, but when you sign up for the Patreon, it at least helps support me and gets to where I can put out more videos. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this helped, and have a good one.